Boom, let's be honest podcast, maddest podcast, baddest podcast, and the saddest podcast. And today, we're here with a upcoming MP
In a couple of weeks.
in a couple of weeks, all right? Dr. Alfred Dawes, what go on?
Bless up.
Big up yourself. And people you know already, I have to give you some free credit or somewhat free. Or look at discount on the credit. LBH75, that's the code on ding.com to get some money off of one I send already. And you can do it all over the world. Dr. Dawes, what go on? See you in the headlines a lot.
Yeah, sometimes not intentionally.
Yeah, but
Sometimes
I know all about being in the headlines not intentionally, but that's it go. So at the first time on the show, so I forget the bio, history, how you end up in a politics, medical field, everything. So let's start from family, where you grew up.
You know, a lot of people think that I grew up in Kingston, but I'm actually a country boy. You know, I grew up in a small town outside of Maypen, Yorktown. And I grew up in an extended family home. My mother with my uncles, aunties, grandparents. And that was really my upbringing, you know. Believe it or not, I'm more Indian than black because that side of the family. So I really grew up in a Jamaican Indian household.
You curry every day.
You know. So, yeah, but my father, you know, my mom and dad weren't together, so I was kind of in between, and that was my early life. Went to primary school, then went to Clarendon College, Yorktown Primary, then Clarendon College. Then did 2 years at Monroe College before I went to Kingston, and then I did 1 year pure and applied sciences before I did medicine at UA. And then after that, I went back to the country again to my roots, did internship at Mandeville. Then I worked at Maypen before I started to do the surgery program. But then I dropped out, you know, and left Jamaica for a little bit, went to Bahamas. And then I was actually, they had a program there, a surgery program that was, I guess you could say failing, because they had about 6 people and 6 of them failed. And then I just came in at a time when the program was collapsing, and then I just became the first person to pass out of Bahamas. And it was on to Brazil after that. You know, I did bariatric surgery, which is pretty much weight loss surgery in Brazil. As far as I know, the first Jamaican to go down there. There are other Jamaicans doing like dentistry and stuff like that, but in terms of a specialist, went down there and I did some good work. Came back to Jamaica, was at Spanish Town Hospital. Then things kind of got crazy because I became president of the Jamaica Medical Doctors Association. And that is when I really started to be in the public space. Some basically started out giving a lot of medical advice, especially when Chick-V hit. And it so happened that I was in the studio when the first Ebola virus case came out of Africa and went to the US, and the producer was like, come Doc, just you have to talk about Ebola now before everybody, you know. I said, I don't know about Ebola. I said, you have 5 minutes to become an expert. So I literally there just ran through everything, gave an interview, and then from that, boom, you know, I was just always called on into Cuba with the Ministry of Health team. I had a relationship with all of them. But then that relationship later soured when certain decisions were being put in place to expand services without increasing the staff. And I disagreed with it on a fundamental level because I thought that it would lead to a further collapse of the healthcare sector, which was on its way down after they removed the user fees without replacing the funding adequately. So I thought it was really... How I think if I am put in a position to do something, I have to do it. It's not a matter of looking for a fight or looking for glory or anything. If I'm in a position, I'm going to do it. And at that time, just like with that Ebola thing, if at that time I believed that I had to stand up to the government, and that caused a big ruckus, you know, doctor versus the ruling government, and it was madness. You reach a point where some over-exuberant people were making threats, and at the end of all of it, I left, went to Bahamas again, you know, like a safe space. But then they changed the minister of health, and another minister came in, Dali, and he called me to come back home. They said they needed some people to do some development at Sav Hospital. I had no links to Sav whatsoever, and that's where I left Bahamas, came home. It was just around that time the government changed and all of that. But at that time, they used a lot of what I was saying in terms of the conditions I was talking about for political gain. And I never liked it, the whole thing, even with the dead babies thing. And that has shaped my perception, which is why I don't see me pursuing it once it got too political, even though it's worse now. And then I did some work at SAV. I had a good team, and we did a lot to expand the services at SAV Hospital, a lot of infrastructure, even academic. You had US students coming in doing medicine and all of that, and it was good. I felt like I was making a difference there. But then, you just have a little. Well, I wanted to come back to town. My family was in town at that time. So after I did 3 years, I came back and I just went straight into private practice. It really expanded bariatric surgery in Jamaica at that time. I can say that I probably have the biggest practice right now.
That's weight loss, yeah.
Weight loss, yeah.
But wait, let's take up in though. Let's go back to your family for a look a bit, right? Yeah. Back in Yorktown.
Yeah.
Siblings?
So here's the thing, I'm the only one from my mother, and I'm one of 8 from my father.
Okay.
So my father had multiple families all over the place. But the funny thing is that all of the mothers, but all of us got on very well. It was like a blended type family.
Yeah.
So my siblings, I can go to their home and their mother take care of me like their own. Even Sunday, there was a health fair, and it was one of my stepmothers there with one set of siblings. I just talking to another stepmother since night. She's doing some fundraising for the campaign. I have another stepmother who, any little problems I can call on her. And basically everybody, I just have a lot of families growing me.
So you're the only one out of your siblings that are going under medicine?
No, my oldest sister, she's a doctor.
Okay.
She's in the public health system as well.
You take any inspiration from she? For the career pathway you choose?
No, I think we finished basically the same time.
Okay. Change your oldest, man. I think
Yeah. Well, my career path it's funny because I never really wanted to be a doctor initially. And when you're younger, you want to be a doctor because you see your father being a doctor, you're hanging around the hospital and all of that. But after a while, I found that I was stronger in the arts. And I actually had applied to Edna Manley, and then my father's like, no, that not gonna work. And that's why I ended up going to boarding school.
What type of arts do you talk?
I love history, And my man would just sit down and read history. I love literature, I love writing. So I wanted to go along that avenue. And I think later on when I was a columnist for the Gleaner up to just before I went into politics, that was kind of my way of holding on to the artsy, creative part of me that was always there. Now it's just tick-tock and that sort of thing. But I always had a creative streak. I love the arts. I love history, but I just kind of got funneled into the science thing. And when you did that, I did medicine. I wasn't really into it. Like I said, I started to the post-grad surgery. I just wasn't feeling it. I dropped out and went to Bahamas. And it was then that I kind of settled down, found myself. I had some good mentors over there, and they just...
So what got you to Bahamas? Schooling, or it was other reasons? Then you started
I was just running from Jamaica.
Okay.
At that time, going into my personal life, I was in a bad marriage at the time, and
I know all about marriage.
Yeah, I wanted to just get out of Jamaica. Financially, I wasn't seeing my way out. As a young, I was probably about 25, 26. Around that time, I had this degree as a doctor. I was supposed to be making money. I didn't go into private practice. I went into specialization. You don't make money as a doctor when you're specializing. That's a myth.
In Jamaica?
In Jamaica, I'm telling you. Even if you say a doctor specializing and driving a car, it's because of concession. We don't make that much money. So in that case, and then I was kind of miserable at KPH, and somebody called me and said they need a opening in Bahamas and they pay in US, no income tax. So just like any Jamaican youth who want to escape, I was
No
out.
brainer.
I was out. It was a no-brainer just like that. So I understand when people leave Jamaica for better, you can't really tell people not to go because you're not giving them an option to make the life that they want to. But when I went there, I saw the opportunity to actually live a decent life in a health system that was functional. You know, they used to complain about it, but some of the things they used to complain about was like, you're complaining that you can't find large gloves in Jamaica. We don't have gloves. So I was comfortable there, and I think that is why I kind of decided to go back into the specialization. And that was seeing how a Caribbean country has a functional health system that stuck in my brain. And it was a similar thing in Brazil, where they're not, you know, an advanced economy, and how they use their hands and how they use the technical skills and how they invested in the primary care and how they made healthcare affordable. I just feel like all of that exposure just kind of put me in a position where I need to help Jamaica to get there, because I see what it can be. So all of that just kind of helped to shape me to, you know, where I am now.
So fast forward now, politics, right? And why choose the PNP?
All right, so the PNP, I grew up in a PNP family. You know, my mother's grandfather, who I lived with, you know, in that extended family, that man used to cuss PNP every day, every time watching news. But then, come election time, the MP himself used to come for him to go out and vote for PNP. So it was that sort of thing, you know, objective. You cuss the principles that you don't like, and again, that helped my formative years. So I was naturally a PNP, which is what was kind of perplexing to a lot of people when in 2015, I was talking up certain things that would have seemed like I was anti-PNP and anti the government. But it was coming from a deeper level where it's not politics, it's just something I believe in, that I was, you know, having my medical experience and training being shaped by those countries where I see it work. I wanted it to work in Jamaica, and that is the same principle I have up to this day. So PNP, yes, you know, so even when at that time the JLP had offered me seat and all of that, it was a flat out no. I couldn't even imagine that.
But why you couldn't? Just because of the family ties?
Just the, you know, so if you ask, my thing is, and it's up to this day, if I ask somebody why they're a JLP, but they can't say anything about PNP in their mouth, it's very difficult for them to give that answer. Because they start about 18 years and Michael Manley mash up the country and this and that and FinSac and whatever it is. So it's like being a JLP is a reaction to the PNP, whereas I grew up knowing the principles that led to the PNP forming with the class alliance, the workers' strikes, all of that. And I mean, Bustamante himself was a member of the PNP. You know, so all of those greats of that era, they decided that they're going to have a class alliance where the middle class, you know, the plantocracy was different. They were all for themselves. Where the middle class and the working class worked together for the first time. Never had that happen in Jamaica. And it's the same socialist principles. People make socialism seem like it's a dirty word. But the truth is that if you don't take care of the most vulnerable in society, that society cannot function. And I can tell you, when a man hungry, no matter which hill or heights you live on, it's not enough for him to go up there. So if you want a country that's functional, you have to take care of those who you can't get nothing out of. And that to me is the greatest pillar on which the PNP was built on. And so I can't move away from that. It is not socialism versus capitalism. I mean, the JLP come in with a lot of free education, free healthcare and so on without thinking it through. And a lot of those are socialist type approaches, but it's more of a different understanding the difference between equality and equity. So if you need $200 and I need $100, and you have $200 to give up, giving you 200 and giving me 200, even though in a fair, you know, because really and truly you should be giving the person who needs it a little bit more the opportunity And I believe more, not in the handouts, but the opportunity. Some people need a little bit more push with the opportunity because of how their brains may be locked in, family, community, whatever it is. They may not see certain things. So you have to open up people's eyes, give them certain opportunities. And that is why it would have been PNP. Why I joined, you know, I was again offered a seat in 2020, didn't take that up PNP. I didn't think I was ready. You know, I did work in that election, and that was really my first exposure to politics, and that was in Portmore, East Central. But then, you know, I started to look at my contribution and where I was. So I was in private practice. I was doing all of this, but then there were so many people who can't afford my services because even if I say, all right, I'm going to do your surgery free, anesthetists have to get paid, the assistant have to get paid, the hospital have to get paid. So you still shut out a large number of people. And I'll give you a simple thing like colonoscopies where you check for colon cancer. You know, right now, my rates are among the best, and it's because I see it as a service, I kind of give back. So I used to, before politics, go down to South and do them because you never had that service in the public system. You know, I tried to put it there, the scope smash up, you don't have no money to replace it. But a lot of people benefited from that. And when I closed my practice in South, it's, the doctor up to this day begging me to come back and do some scopes. So I realized I was limited in private practice. I did my advocacy through my Gleaner articles, and then I was a social commentator on radio, TV. But I wasn't in the room when the policy decisions were being made. And the policy decisions, whether in your community or on a national level, that is how you really help people. So when the opportunity arose now, they had some discussions, and Mr. Golin said that he would actually like me to be in his cabinet. I was thinking maybe a junior minister, all of that. I just wanted to be in the room.
Yeah.
So he said, go look at seats. So I went and I looked at Southeast where my other family home is. Remember, I have no family.
Yeah.
So
no stepmother.
yeah. So one family home is in Southeast, so that's where we usually gather. Before my grandmother died, for all of the Christmas gatherings and all of that. And that is really where I knew Southeast very well, and that is why I chose that constituency. And it has been an amazing journey, to say the least. I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, boy, politics corrupt a lot of people. But I can say that me today versus me a year or two ago, I am a better man. And the reason is that, one, I have learned to manage my emotions a lot better. It's a lot more difficult to annoy me or to get me upset. But the greatest thing is that there's so much temptation to do wrong. And there is so much hurt that people heap on you. People attack you, some very deep and personal attacks. And I used to attack back. And it just caused a back and forth and an escalation. But sometimes somebody hurt you and you just hug it up. And I mean all them things in the Bible, but you just recite an eye for an eye, whatever it is, and turn the other cheek. But you don't really think about the practical application. I've had some very hurtful things said to me and done to me, and I just decide that it's easier to forgive and move on, because every time I fight fire with fire, it ends up making everything worse. And it's something that is the greatest lesson to me out of politics. When I tell my team, we're running a campaign of love. A man said, this, that, whatever. No, a man coming after, no, we're not going to retire.
I mean, somebody would argue now that you kind of run a campaign of like fire.
Blood and fire.
They said you turn back the, you built a barricade, a human barricade to turn back the prime minister.
I'm not that powerful, Can you imagine that? I know the narrative has changed, and I'll tell you what happened there. It goes far beyond that. I had a marketing team do a comprehensive research on my social media as well as mainstream media profile and what is being said about me. And what they picked up was that the JLP they have a campaign to, one, discredit what I say and to try to paint a picture that I say a lot of false things. And the other thing that they're trying to do is to make me seem to be a thug. So both of those things are actively being pushed by the JLP. And the truth is that these guys are very good at creating these narratives. They do a lot of mind control. They have some agencies, and they're very good at fooling the people. This is why you can have the health sector completely deteriorating, but they are able to convince so many people that the amount of money they spend in health means that health is better. Even when you're there with the waiting times, you can't get no supplies and the place falling apart. They boast about how much money they spend. So they create this false equivalency. The other thing they do is that they brainwash you into who to hate and who to cheer for.
Yeah.
And they do it in some very subtle ways, which if you're not, you have to go deep into behavioral psychology and even neuroscience to understand. So I'll give you one example. I'm not going to call the media house, but they would put up a picture of me and put up a picture of my rival. And the picture of me is this angry, glaring picture right beside the picture of my rival. I wouldn't even say rival. My
competitor.
Yeah, competitor. And it would be a smiling picture. So now, when you see that, your brain is programmed. You have a thing called the amygdala, your primitive part of your brain. It's supposed to pick up threats. So back when we were on the African savannah and all of that, you see a lion glaring at you, you have fear and distrust. So you run, and that's how you preserve yourself. And human beings, without thinking about it, we have preserved these things. So you see a smiling face and you see a glaring face. Naturally, you're going to dislike the glaring face, and you're going to be drawn more towards the smiling face.
Yeah.
And I've seen them do it with myself and my the person I'm running against with Miller, and they did it with me, same picture, with a senator who was issuing a release against countering what I was saying.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would not even realize that that is what is at play there, and them just don't like me, but them can't put a finger and why. Me just can't take him, my spirit not take him. That is because they know how they position pictures and so on, they're pretty much trying to control your mind as to who to hate and who to not even vote for, who to like or whatever. And so everything in context now is to paint me as somebody who is distrustful, because I've said a lot of things that have hurt them.
Yeah.
You know, when I've pointed out a lot of the corruption. So they're putting counter stories to it to try and discredit me and attacks, hoping that I would back off. And if I back off, then it's two stories out there and people are forced to choose which one to believe. But because I keep holding my ground, even lawsuit after lawsuit and all of that, I don't back down, people start wondering if it is true. And then when the truth come out, it supports my argument. But had I backed down, their narrative would have had equal footing as mine. So when you create, and to tell you the truth, is gimmicks we were doing, because one of my ways of dealing with attacks, anybody come and campaign against me, I clown them. That's all I do. I just tease them and make people laugh after them. And that's something I come from high school, because I was a nerd in high school and them used to laugh after me and tease me. But I realized that you can't laugh after me if everybody else will laugh after you. So that was my defense, and it just kind of, that's how I carry it. And I say, you know what, I'm not going to fight fire with fire. I'm going to fight fire with cloning people. So when all of them come after me, I just make some TikToks and have people just laughing after them and cloning them.
So on the day you're trying to clone the Prime Minister?
Cloning the Prime Minister, because he made a tweet in 2015. Dr. Alfred Dawes should be honored for his bravery and sacrifice, all in the interest of Jamaicans. He did that when I was hitting out against the public healthcare sector. So he was riding on that wave of popularity.
So at that time, he would think that you're anti-PNP?
Yes.
Okay. But
So
in reality, you're just pro-Jamaica.
I was just pro-Jamaica. So he did it, and several of his now ministers and advocates and so on, they made some very flattering tweets of me, because you have another thing in marketing called the halo effect, where like and even now, the halo effect is at work here, where you are popular, you have a following, and me, wanting to be relatable to your following and so on, I come on your show, and that's supposed to boost my chances. We're not talking about politics, so I'm not really using that.
Yeah.
But when you have, and this is the thing with celebrity endorsements and so on, so you put the celebrity there, that is a car them drive, I go into that. So with politicians, what you notice that they're very good at it. So anytime somebody gets some amount of popularity, they would jump on it. So that's why you would have like a Cliff Twang went to Parliament because they wanted to, you saw it out there. So they follow, they're cool there, Cliff Twang is there.
Yeah.
Then they had Macaroni in Parliament. Where Macaroni I go, you remember that? And that was nice. So relatable and all of that. And then even Peanut Dread. Peanut Dread, you realize Clarks is a dancehall thing. People identify with that. Bro God.
Yeah.
So what you do is you embrace something that is popular. So at that time, because people saw me as somebody fighting for better healthcare, they are the same people warring me now. They embrace me to try to get that following to be associated with them through the halo effect. So I have the tweet, and I did an AI read and went into the studio, Bill a tune, and we're blaring it down at the terminus, and just waiting for him to pass to hear him there, in it. And it's the AI voice sounded exactly like him. So it would have been like the Prime Minister giving me an endorsement. I was just there laughing and vibing and all of that, And then we hear that him not coming, and we're like, fine. And then rain started falling, and we're like, all right, we're going somewhere else. And that was it.
And then 2 years say
what they did, and this is how the same mind control and brainwashing thing work. They set up the shot. Now, if you've been to Waterford, you understand that it's a dual carriageway.
Yeah, that one way in, one way out.
One way in, one way out. And there's a taxi lay-by that was built. We were in the lay-by. But when the shot was set up, you see a road going so and a road going so and a crowd across it. Not to say that is a lay-by, but everybody would assume that there is a road beyond where the crowd was standing.
And they couldn't pass.
And they couldn't pass. So that is what they sold to everybody, to say, this thug blocked the road on the Prime Minister. And they ran with that story. Now, I did a video yesterday to show that the route that the Prime Minister would have taken would have been, we are at the lay-by, you hear your song praising me and all of that, we laugh after you look a bit, bro got a campaign for Dawes, and then you would have made a turn to go into Waterford. And that was it. So what they have done now is to run with that, and then they have a troll farm for in this political thing, where they pay people to comment. So you'll see the same people commenting over and over like bots. And these, when they attack you, it's like a swarm, and the money that they have to pay these people, the money that they have to market to people, if you're not careful and you're not a discerning person to know, say, these are some of the marketing and brainwashing and mind control tactics at work. They tell you who to hate, who to love, and what to do. And the danger we have here in Jamaica is that these guys have gotten so good at it that they have taught us to vote against what is best for us. They have taught us to accept decisions that are not in our best interest, and to accept certain things as normal when it shouldn't be normal. I'll give you another example. The Minister of Health, I made a statement, and it's in our manifesto and everything. Mothers today are more likely to die during childbirth than after Hurricane Gilbert. That's about near 30 years.
Over 3 decades.
Right. And the data is there. That's data from Ministry of Health. There's about a 47% increase in the death rate from the 1980s to now. You can't argue with that. They kept a press conference and attacked and pushed back. And they're like, oh, over the last 2 years, the rate has been falling, XYZ, that. And they chose to the highest point, COVID. And then they talk about since COVID, the rate coming down. And they talk about all the improvements. But they have neglected to look at between 2015 and 2025, the maternal mortality rate has been going up. It spiked in 2019 before COVID, went down in 2020 a little bit, I think, because of the lockdowns and so on. And then it went shot up again because of the COVID deaths, and then it started to go back down. But it is still way, way higher than 2015. But they manipulated the figures so they can tell you that it's trending down.
Yeah,
and somebody would hear it. They forget about the last 2 years and hear that it's trending down. So these guys it's amazing. It's amazing. And you realize that they've gotten to a lot of people. They've gotten to a lot of people. But the problem is with marketing, and this whole political marketing part is particular, is that the youth are not, for some reason, the youth not falling for it as much. And that is why you have so many uncommitted youth. That's why you have some people just not business about the political process, because they pick up something is off. There's my generation, I'm not so young, I'm 44 now, but my generation, we kind of more pick a side already. You asked me if it was JLP, it would have been JLP or PNP, and why not it wouldn't be JLP. But it was kind of ingrained by
them time.
I gone in, 2 years ago that it had to be PNP. But the youth, for one, marketing tactics don't work like one time. The youth not buying cars like one time. They're not buying liquor like one time. They're not buying house like, I'm telling you. Liquor compared to a couple years ago. Even things like smoking. In the 1950s, you had doctors advertising cigarettes as low-tar cigarettes. You have the false equivalence. It's just like more money being spent in health mean better healthcare.
Yeah, I get you.
Low-tar mean healthier cigarettes, with all of the nicotine and the carbon monoxide and all of that stuff still killing you. Doctors would market it as low-tar. A lot of companies still market things as healthy by saying low cholesterol, when the thing full of sugar. But for some reason, it's how the marketing companies are struggling to keep up with it. But like Gen Z more like to spend the money now on trips and experiences rather than physical things.
All right, no, so we'll get into the real question on them now, because I'm going to tell some people say I fall out there and them give me some questions, me have some questions. Now let's start with Mark Golding.
Yeah.
Why should Jamaica trust Mark Golding as your next leader? And why do you trust Mark Golding as your leader?
All right, I'll tell you first why I believe that he's the best choice right now. He's real. And I can say it simple. Mark Golding is not somebody who went out and campaigned to be party leader, and you could see that he had this ambition. The thing just kind of reached him. It just fell in his lap. It took a lot of convincing here for him to actually agree to run.
Yeah.
When you have somebody like that, I don't know if you watch Gladiator, when the emperor was dying and he said to Marcus, the Gladiator, Russell Crowe character, he said to him that you must be emperor and give back the power to the people.
Yeah.
And he looked at him and said, I don't want it. And the emperor was dying and said, that is exactly why you need to have it, because you're not drawn to the power, you're not going to be corrupted by the power. And that is how I see him. When something is foisted and you're like that, without you running for it and hungry for it, then it's a different mindset. The other thing is that I believe that he has a genuine interest of Jamaicans at heart. It's not about scraping, it's not about the flashy lights and the power or anything like that. When you listen to him talk, and especially with HealthCare, and this is how he convinced me to actually run, and it's encouraging to, even when I'm going through a lot of difficulties and I'm like, oh, I can't bother with this. We can't just go back to my practice and, be a surgeon or whatever. Sometimes he sends me some stuff, some voice notes from his constituents. He might send me some articles and some advanced medical stuff that he would love to see in Jamaica. And even before we got here, he sent me a voice note from one of his constituents who went to the hospital. She's diabetic and she needs insulin needles, and there's no insulin needle. And they went somewhere else, the clinic, no insulin needle. This lady is on insulin, she had to take 3 times a day. And she could only afford to buy 10 syringes, 10 needles.
That can't 3D max.
That can't do nothing. So she just have to go struggle and then hope so she can find the money. So that sort of passion, because he's like, we have to do something about it. And I think with his medical background, his father was a preeminent surgeon, like man got knighted for services, surgeon. I think with that passion, we can do a lot. And he has said to me that he would give me whatever support. And he has said it on several platforms. And I'm not going to give myself Minister of Health, but he has said it several times that he wants me to be the Minister of Health. And we have to do something different. So even with respect to health, and I know he's having that conversation with other members of the shadow cabinet right now. And that is why I strongly believe in him, because I think that with him at the helm, based on, he's a bright guy too, bright. Based on how he got into that position, not running it down, and it's not like, yes, me reach. And the dog will back after one car and the car stop and them catch it, them don't know what to do. Based on how he got it, I think Jamaica is like an alignment of stars now, where the PNP got wiped out in 2020 election, and it's a new set of people coming in. It's a brand new party. And we have this leader who he has the genuine interest of the people. And I think he has a good heart. I don't see him as somebody fake. I think that we are in a once in a lifetime position to fix a lot of problems in Jamaica. And I can speak to health and know that he will put in the support legislatively, because we have to change a whole heap of laws, We have to make it harder for man thief. We have to make it harder for corrupt the system. We have to make harsher penalties.
The police force.
Right, true.
Even the technology with the police.
Yeah. So it's a lot of laws, and I think that he will put the money into health where it needs to be, because he has a genuine interest.
Now, the current Minister of Health right now, the topic on the birth rate and it going down, right? And even what they say an article in like the top 10 in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, how do we promote, young people them for have kids, just out of college, when really and truly you look upon minimum wage and you look upon how expensive things are.
Some people, we just can't afford it.
Yeah, we can't afford it. And as you say, the new generation, we're focused on experience.
Trips.
Yeah, trips. Yeah, I know girls who are like 37, 38 I say, listen, I'm not ready.
Yeah, they're not ready. A lot of them not ready.
So how do we get that?
Change the mindset.
How do we change the mindset of the people?
Well, first of all, a lot of my female friends, they say they can't find a good man who they want to have kids for. So we have to fix ourselves first, as men. This whole thing, a pickup line can't be baby more and breed you or more put something in your belly and them things. A man use that as pickup line. So we have to improve ourselves as men to assure these women that we're going to be there as fathers, and we're not going to have 10, 20 baby mother. Because the women are wising up. The women, as a matter of fact, are more, wising up more than the men in terms of what they want out of life. So that's where it needs to begin. So they're choosing careers over and experiences over just say that yes, they want a kid, or the kid is going to be the pension, like what our parents' generation did a lot of times. But affordability is a major issue. Houses, expensive. Apartments, it's just out of the reach. If I'm coming out now as a young professional, I would worry where I could live. Because when you look at the rate of price increases in houses and apartments versus the price increase, plus the increase in wages, it's just
interest rate.
It's just, the gap is widening and it's getting worse. I think, and we have done a lot, where we're looking at housing in particular to say that we would give that $500,000 grant and we would have special allocations. So like, some public sector employees so that they won't have to be in the lottery. Because you know that if 1,000 bill is 10,000 people apply for those houses. So we're doing some of that. But the big part is money. And how is it that you get more money in the hands of people who are working and they want to work? And I think the greatest, we're not talking about it enough, but I believe this simple thing like if you earn up to 6 million a year, if you do overtime, you won't pay tax on it. So from your nurses, security guards, your admin attendant, all of those people, police, know when you do your overtime, when you do your duties, you get all of that salary. That is not causing a big hole in the budget, and that is going to put more money in people's hands like that for them to spend it. But bigger than that, we just need more opportunities. And Jamaica, we need to move from seasonal work. We need to stop relying so heavily on the low-level, low-paying jobs and just kind of look for value-added opportunities, value-added jobs. And I use, I don't like when people to compare us to Singapore too much, but the first generation, what Singapore did, they moved them from fishermen to putting in the chips in the plastic case. And they worked, their children became the designers of the plastic cases and the chips. And by the third generation, they were the financiers and distributors. And so they moved away from the low-level jobs now and outsourced them to other Southeast Asian countries like Vietnam and Cambodia. And even those countries now are moving up the value-added ladder and doing more complex tasks. And with that, you get more money. We can't, from 2038, go and make 200 years since slavery was abolished. We still can't be just thinking of planting bananas or planting sugar cane.
Cassava.
We have to be the ones who are making the chips and sending it abroad. We have to deal with chocolate. It's like, when you look at Africa, Africa is waking up Ghana and saying, yo, why are we selling you, Switzerland, all of this, and Belgium, all of this chocolate? We need to make the cocoa. Yeah. We need to make our own chocolate. There's not one cocoa tree in Switzerland or Belgium, and they're known for the world's best chocolate. Yeah. So where it come from, Ivory Coast and all of those places. So Africa is waking up, and that's why you see so many African leaders now, the world is looking towards them for hope, because we in the diaspora, we face similar challenges with exploitation from a lot of these developed countries. And we still have too much of an extractive economy, meaning that you have a lot of big investors coming in, and then the money doesn't even reach Jamaica. It's paid online, it goes to some offshore bank, and they send a pittance come to cover costs locally. And then after that now, they are saying that they're marketing product Jamaica, but the Jamaicans themselves are not seeing it. I think that stuff that we produce, and I go back to entertainment, for some reason Jamaica just outside. You go to Trenchtown and look at all of the names
on the wall.
And the different avenues and the listing which artists come from.
Even Bunty actually born at Trenchtown.
Yeah, man. And Waterford, I never know there's so much DJs that come from my constituency. They'll tell you that, there's a lot of degree people and from way back, all Red Dragon days, everybody know about it. I show the age.
Question.
But I don't know Gaza, obviously. My place. So.
If you could have summarize the PNP plan in like a 2-3 minutes, because as I said, the social media thing, everywhere I go is like the PNP are trying to win off of vibes. That's all I hear. True or false, Gio?
True.
The PNP are trying to win off of vibes. Now, I know the PNP plan, right? Because clearly they put out a plan immediately after the election was called. So I want you know, as a man who's running for MP and
in layman terms.
Yes.
Layman terms.
Layman terms.
So, and let me contrast it. What you're getting today, Jamaica, is an emphasis on mega projects, mega spend. So you'll see the highways being developed, and until people start cuss and them know it's election time, they never fix the smaller roadways. You are seeing in my constituency a $4 billion park, but then all of the smaller parks within the communities, they don't have anything at all. You know, it's pure bush, sometimes old car in there. The roads, them not good. You're seeing healthcare where they're putting up a $14 billion ivory tower, I call it, at UA, you know? And if you take $1 billion and you put in 14 hospitals, what would you have? If you put $1 billion in Black River Hospital, if you put $1 billion in Linstead Hospital, St. Anne's Bay, Spanish Town, what would you get? So what we want to move from is this emphasis on this mega, this big fancy thing. And when we talk about ribbon cutting, again, we're not really articulating it in a way where them can't counteract it because them start, you know, giving it out. But the truth is that they keep focusing on the mega projects, the highways. The little man now, the average person want to know what it is that we're doing for them in their community and what you're doing to help them get better opportunities, better healthcare, better education. And when you understand that framework, that we're not going to be focusing on the mega, we're going to be focusing on the micro. Them talk about macroeconomic stability and debt to GDP ratio and all of that, and it gone down by what. But 10 years ago, our bread was for $200. And right now, a different Trump campaign and the egg price and all of that. The truth is that, yes, it's good to have macroeconomic stability, but the small man need to feel it. Food expensive. People have to be putting back. When they go to the grocery store and say how much things put back.
Yeah, wide.
Whole heap of things put back. And that's why we need to get this, like this lady now with our insulin syringes. People need to get proper health care. So what PNP is going to do, we take them one by one. Education. Primary care, primary education needs a complete overhaul. Because unless you have a foundation, you can't build on it. And when you have kids coming to school and too hungry to learn, is a problem. When you have kids staying away from school because they can't find school, they can't find fear.
Yeah, taxi fare.
And this is what is upsetting about the school bus program, because I say if you criticize it, it's bad mind. When you look on where those children who can't come to school because of fear are coming from, school bus can't go up there in those hills. So if you can find a way to get students to school, you have less absenteeism. If those students get a meal, they can learn, and it's one less thing for the parents to stress out over. And on top of that, we put more money into training and so on, support the teachers. And this automatic advancement thing. You can't be in grade 5 and then because it's September, you must go grade 6, but then you still can't do grade 4 work. Yeah. That is not building.
It's a proper assessment.
And the truth is that if you spend 80% of your time and resources on the 20% of those who would have been left behind, you would have made a massive difference in the output coming when you reach to your CSEC and CAPE level. So we want to invest heavily into that. The other thing is the first in the family. Now, everybody who choose education, as a matter of fact, I can tell you, there are studies that show that some of your greatest success in life is not how much money you have, but it's how much books in your house. And if your parents, I guess it's different now because of the electronic thing or whatever, but if your parents are educated, they're more likely to push you to do education. And money cannot be transmitted effectively beyond 3 generations. Enough broke people there now with them grandfather did millionaire. You know, I hear some my great grandfather was a rich man and him the first man sending them kids to school in Kendall, Hanover. But you pass on education at a higher rate to your children than you pass on money, and they in turn can lift other households out by seeing somebody do that. Just like me in Bahamas. After I graduated from the surgery program, so a whole heap of other surgeons graduated.
And then when you did that before you were BFL?
But it's like Roger Bannister, the first man to run the mile under 4 minutes if you're a tracksman. Everybody thought the mile could not be run under 4 minutes. Roger Bannister run it. 2 weeks later, then break him record. But everybody running it consistently now. You know, same thing with the Bolt effect. Times for 100 meters in Bolt era, way faster than before or after. We don't have the other sprinter, them the bad man, them just look for the competition and then dragging them to another level. When you say a first in the family gone to university, because we're going to pay for them, you know, the first in the family scholarship, once you make it and get into university, we're going to pay for that degree. And what we hope is that you're going to inspire your neighbor, your friend, or wherever it is.
Is there a cap for that though? Is there, like, for instance, med? Is that for med? Is that for law?
If you get in, you get in. It's for university. Okay. If you're bright and you can
have all
we're not going to suppress you at all. You know, so you're going, and that's education. Healthcare, we're going to work on primary care. So we want to bring healthcare closer. Rather than this big tower at UWI, we would want to upgrade clinics.
Yeah, because the infrastructure, because I have a stepmother right now, and she has cancer, and she did a KPH, and trust me, just the ward, and you can see the people, the nurses are overworked.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure they're underpaid as well, and it just doesn't look like what I think Jamaica's supposed to do in 2025.
It should not. I see a video with cats on the ward the other day, you know. So we want to, and again, instead of, let me give you another example. There's this big program that they were cutting ribbon for and all of that, talking about they're giving free legs, free prosthetic legs to people who lost their legs. And it's big fanfare and all of that. If you are going to celebrate that, you're giving somebody a replacement leg, that means you don't understand health. Because what you need to do is to stop the legs from being amputated in the first place. So when you're going to say it's a $300,000 leg, if you give me that $300,000, I'm going to do some screening and check and make sure that your diabetic foot ulcer is healed. I'm going to make sure your sugar controlled by sending out community health aides into your homes, into your communities. When you're not coming to clinic, somebody going to call. Why you're not coming to clinic? You don't have no bus fare. We're going to come to you. Check your HbA1c there, because we're going to train a lot of the practical nurses and send them out as community health aides. When you fix the diabetes, you control the sugar. And every day somebody lose a leg because of diabetes in Jamaica. Not every day. Every day. When you control the sugars, you don't need to cut off so many legs. So, you know, it is nothing to gloat about that you're putting in.
So there's a lot of cure, not prevention.
Prevention is where we want to shift the focus on now. So the screening for all of the cancers and so on, we want to find the cancers early and intervene when it's cheaper to treat, better chance of cure, and your morbidity or the adverse events coming out of having that cancer are less. So that is the attention I want to focus on. And then, of course, you have simple things like we can streamline surgeries. I know this, my colleagues know this. Man, them just don't listen. So instead of putting in the drapes, because you have theater list being cancelled because you don't have no clean drapes, no gloves. You send them, give a man a prescription to buy a mesh. Him can't come up with the money. Them come in the morning a surgeon, blood pressure high, because them don't have the money to take the pill, to buy the pills, which are not provided. Instead of fixing all of those systemic defects, they go to foreign and fly down nurses and fly down doctors. And then they come and the same problems are there, AC not working. So you sit down, you waste all of that money. So what we want to do is to move away from the hype, from the applause, and just do it the proper way by reforming healthcare, reforming how we finance health, reforming how we as in expanding the NHF in terms of the benefits and so on, and reform how we spend. You can't be spending millions of dollars for something that can cost a few $100,000, for example. We have to move away from the eater food policies in the Ministry of Health to healthy food policies. So we have to make sure that people are eating better and that somebody coming and bidding on a contract, we're going to make proper cost assessments. We're going to make sure that we're getting value for money. And I guarantee you we can save hundreds of millions of dollars if we clean up the corruption in the Ministry of Health. You know, you move on to land. People are living years, you know, like I said, when you're 200 years and you don't have no title. Your grandparents on the land come right through and you don't have no title. So you're poor. And this was, our laws were set up so that the plantocracy would continue to maintain control of the land. You know, when you go Westmoreland, this whole thing where the board houses, where you could lift up and move, and people used to be moving them house back in the day. That was because they wouldn't sell them the land.
So
and if you disrespect them run you off them land. So you build houses so you can load it up on a cart and move to another piece of land. We Jamaicans live in the hills because they would not allow us to live in the plains. You know, even the free villages, Sligoville and so on, they built them in the hills because we could not get land on the plains. The plantocracy refused to sell on the plains. You know, simple things like beach access that we're going to work on to fix again. Jamaicans love go to river, not just because we love river, but it's what we used to because we can't go beach. A lot of Jamaicans want to go beach, but the river is more available and accessible than the beaches. So we want to change all of the beach access laws, you know, that you must have some access road going into it where the public can go. It can't be a situation where you're advertising sun, sea and sand and the best beaches in the world and foreigners come in and enjoying all of that and all we are doing is serving them. And we can't even go on the beach, go de-stress. So those are some of the social issues we want to work on. Economically, we want to make sure that we put it. It's 2 minutes to tell me not true, I'm gone. But there's just,
but it's layman still, I kind of understand.
But there's just so much, like a simple thing again, like the overtime. So many nurses don't even bother want the session because them tax out everything. No, go do your session. We need you to do your session, and keep the money when you do the session and go invest in it.
So, question: How do we hold you guys accountable?
Yeah.
That's one thing I want to know.
Great question.
But for both sides, like, is there, I feel like
a yearly thing
or we do a checkup. Like,
I want to come give you an update. This is what we said we were going to do this set up.
I want to
reach you.
So we know say hiccups happen.
Right.
Detours, a journey. Why we not reach us? So what happened while we're not there? So what was supposed to there? So.
All right,
how we holding accountable? That's just my thing, you know, because everybody's selling something good, you know.
Man.
Everybody's selling something good. But will we actually get the product of what they're selling? That's the thing.
Within the deadline that you guys promised as well. Because I remember the stadium was promised in 2019 and it come back up in a recent times because
there was also something in 2014 that the PNP promised. I don't remember what it was, but there's something, and then I think it's in the manifesto now as well.
Yeah, but remember, so we lose 2016, you know.
So them couldn't fulfill, which is fair. So then type of thing they will
So and this again is why I believe in Mark as somebody who will hold his cabinet accountable and hold himself accountable. One of the things we're looking at is an impeachment bill. So if your MP not performing and all that and you can get all of the signatures or you don't think him fit to represent you, you can submit and vote him out. You know, that's a big thing. You know?
I think that's a big
thing.
So you can't somebody wait till 5 years and then they might come and try to sweet you up. Like we see a lot of the work getting done now is since local government and man start fret. And then you just say a whole heap of work started. But then in the 3 years before that, nothing was happening. No, you have to know when you have to carry yourself to a certain standard. You know, because you know that your people say, all right, we start gathering signatures and move you. But the issue is, and you know, just this evening, I was walking in Passage Fort and this guy called me and said, yo, we'll give you a chance, you know, but don't mess up, you know. So you mean, him said that the other man will give him a chance and we're not see him back. So, no make it be that we can't get you and you not come back till 5 year time. I said, Bridget, if I come back 5 year time and I first say, I say, you run me. But the truth is that we don't have any mechanisms built in place. So we were promised a lot of things in the first 100 days from 2016. We were promised job descriptions for ministers. We were promised a fixed election date, all sort of things. But it comes from the top. And if the top is somebody who you can't trust to deliver on what they're promising, then nobody else down below. I don't think the Prime Minister can talk to the Minister of Health about the corruption allegations taking place in ministry. I honestly don't believe him can take any talk. I don't think him can talk to man selling free fertilizer. and I leave it there. But when you have a man who him not have no scandal, you know, the man is just a straight shooter, and I think that's why they're afraid of him so much, because him talk about man I go get locked up and short pants and them thing there. Them don't trust. So them don't have this thing. Politics have this thing, and I came across it today for me, tomorrow for you, where some people take care of each other. And I don't think man take that talk, none at all. Because it's not a system man who come up and, you know, understand that, boy, you're going to take care of a man and give him a little thing, and that when you're in opposition. So I don't think I'm going to take that talk. And this is why he's feared so much, because he's so different from everybody else in it. But if he lets me down and he lets Jamaica down, I will be very disappointed. And I think a lot of people will be disappointed, because we have such high expectations of him in terms of the reforms that are needed. I think what we need now is a reformer, because people are so disgruntled, people are so fed up. It's like you have a girl and you're telling baby, I'm going to change, and you still have reach home late every night. You're still, you know. But the electorate is like that, and that is why the uncommitted, and especially the youth, because the youth say, yes, my parents, I said, JLP for how long and not go on. My parents, I said, PNP how long and not go on for them. And they say that. So, and they saw in the last election where, all right, a man wrap up 5,000 or 10,000, give me in a shirt. But when it done, when I see him, and that was it, that 10,000 I'll have to divide for 5 years. So it's really nothing. So I think the reason why we have such a large, uncommitted block of voters is because they're not taking no money argument again like one time. They're not taking any die-hearted argument again. And they're not impressed by promises. You have to come with something different for them to believe that your promise will work. And what I tell my constituents when I'm talking to them is that just look at my track record. Anything I go into, I go all out. You know, when I'm a union leader, I went all out for the doctors. When I saw that my own party in government was making what I thought was a fatal mistake, I went against them. When I went to SAV Hospital, I went all out, and SAV transformed over that period of time. When I left and went to Bahamas again during the elections in 2016, when I went to Freeport for about 3 months, and they had all of this fancy equipment and nobody was using it. I trained the surgeons to use it, and I reformed all of that hospital. So I'm a reformer. I like a challenge. I like doing things differently. I see how communities can develop if we empower the people, and I think that they believe in me. You know, and they're going to vote for me because of that. You know, and they're holding me to such a high standard now that I know that I can't let them down. A lot of people are looking at me as a future health minister to say, boy, you know, that my colleagues in the healthcare sector, they're like, finally a man who understands what we're going through and what we plan on doing. And it's a heavy load to carry when so many people depending on you, but it just encourages you to not let down anybody at all.
So question, in your constituency, what do you think you need? Because motherfucker, you know some actually live in West Bay. West Bay? Yeah.
Man.
Bridgeport, West Bay.
Okay. Yeah,
so
we were supposed to convoy through West Bay yesterday, and somebody make a wrong turn, and then the convoy, the motorcade was so long that we couldn't turn back.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to
Wanna go end up go back road?
No, we never go back road. Why am I not saying I'm going to try to bring up back road?
No, but you're right. Because I'm on that quarter and the turn back. So question.
No, man, I'm around Bridgeport. So.
Okay. So what you feel that constituency needs?
All right, and I'll tell you. So it's a very diverse constituency, as you would know. So you have the more formal communities like your West Bay, your Bridgeport, Edgewater, and so forth. They have been neglected a lot. I know your roads don't stay good, none at all.
No.
No, man. I have people
Let's
right
be
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be a good development.
And the reason being is that the current MP, he believes that your roads have to be gazetted to be the responsibility of the MP. So the side roads that really and truly the councillor should be fixing don't get any attention. So that's like the roads within the communities. I take in a different approach. I think that MP allocation is MP allocation and it can spend anywhere in the constituency. So if a road need to fix, I'm not going to say the councillor must spend it out of his allocation, which is really and truly nothing. And the councillor can't get any allocation unless the minister of local government send down money to deal with the council roads, which is another level of blockage. You know, so I am going to spend wherever it is going to spend. Same thing with the drains. A simple thing like mosquitoes right through the constituency. But let me get back to what I said. The formal communities that have been neglected because you guys don't come out and vote a lot. We're going to pay more attention to the, and it's a simple thing like the same roads, drains. You know, there was flooding on Patricia Avenue just with a little rain we had the other day. You have the water problems that affects everybody across the constituency, the sewage problems, all of these things that need to be addressed. Then you have, and like I said, this is why I am drawn to the PNP, because now you have informal communities that I think need a little bit more attention than everybody else. And this is why we have to focus a little bit more on the youth, because education, sports, and giving them opportunities to elevate themselves, them thinking, so that they don't become what we call the unattached youth and are drawn more to the violence. You know, it's a peaceful community. We only had one shooting from the start of the year, and it's from outside it came from. But the youth, they want opportunities. They want opportunities for employment. They want opportunities for training. You know, even when you give them the heart training program and put them in there, they don't have money to go. They don't have food to go. So we have to look at how we're going to get them into a skills program. And not just that, we need like a Craigslist or Angie's List, where somebody in one community, you need a plumber, you link them with somebody who has been cleared by a JP, so you can get a plumber, you can get a landscaper, you train people to match the needs, you know, babysitters. We have a lot of professionals there, and we also have a lot of tradesmen and tradespeople. So we want to match all of that, improve the training opportunities, improve the opportunities for them to make money and to spend that money in the community, because I want the money circulate a couple of times before it come out, like what happened in the Jewish communities.
Definitely.
You know, the other thing that all communities need are green spaces, parks. You must can have somewhere you can have a picnic. You must can have a place when you open your window, it's not just pure bush out there and it's overgrown, or you have people dumping stuff and all that. I am dedicated to improving all of the parks in Southeast St. Catherine, so that people can have somewhere they can go rewind, you know, unwind and de-stress, because stress is killing us slowly and we don't even realize. Lack of sleep, especially the traffic and so on, you have to wake up early, you come in late tired, is a major problem, you know, and it's causing high blood pressure, it's causing our skin to age, it's causing all sorts of ailments to develop over time without us even realizing. So we have to look at how we're going to manage our stress. I want to have after-school programs for the youth. And this is where, you know, I'm looking at continuity, because should we form the government, a program like Jamaica Moves, even though it was mired in controversy, the thinking is good, it's just the execution. So rather than just coming to say, all right, we're going to have a Jamaica Moves at Portmore, and it's a big thing where you spend on $12 million on stage lighting, marketing, entertainment, and so on. What I want to do is to take that $12 million and meet with some of the community leaders. You have some people who, they are on their own running programs for the kids, and all they want is some bibs, they want some ball, or they wouldn't mind 2 cases of water in the evenings.
A look of support.
You take that money and you create an allocation so every community can have their own sporting programs, and that's how you get the kids out of the house and moving. You use some of that and you create jogging trails, outdoor exercise equipment in the parks, and that's how you get people to move. You work with the Citizens Association, you work with the youth groups, you work with the area leaders, man who just doing a thing and people respect them. And they're the ones who are going to manage it now. And then they own it. So nobody can come and take down the exercise equipment and sell as scrap metal. You know, so when you do that, you build the communities, people come out more. And because everything is being managed now, the CDF want to get, the Constituency Development Fund want to get greater input from the community organizations and to how that is spent. You know, I am going to, as MP, get $100 million to spend over 5 years. You can tell me how that must be spent. You know, right now, looking back, what has that $100 million been spent on in Southeast? You don't know. And you were never a part of the consultation process. So when people understand the power we're bringing to them in the communities, then people will want to be a part of those community groups, and they'll be more active in the community groups. And when you do that now, we have other people coming. You have your community health aides coming in, and they're the ones in the meetings. The police come into the meetings. What's going on in the community? What are the issues that we have? Who's sick and shut in and can't go clinic? Who do we need to bring the clinic to? You know, who need a wheelchair? Right now is MP getting out that, giving out wheelchair and all that stuff. If you have a structured thing where it's not somebody, boy, I need a wheelchair for my neighbor. And that is what's happening now. People look out for the neighbors when they realize they're sick and can't move. That's why I give away a lot of stuff. You know, not for personal gain, but people looking out. So the human spirit is there, the caring spirit. But you want to find a medium now to harness that and let communities be communities again. And I think that is where my headspace is, to build stronger, more resilient communities.
Yeah. No question more. So why campaigns still are run off of like roads? Like, yo, I fix the road. Then I feel like
water.
Road and water.
It's sad. I mean,
2025.
we should have, all right, you know, roads. And this is where
And then when you look on even roads, right? Let's talk about Jamaica with cars. Every single car brand, well, the majors are here. Benz there, Beamer there, Porsche there, everything there. Toyota there, Kia there, EV, gas hybrid, everything there.
Yeah.
So it's not like say Jamaica is a country where it's just bus and enough people have car. Traffic is crazy. Why people still are on campaign off our roads?
Because we're not fixing the roads properly. And we don't have a proper road maintenance fund. So, one, there's some corruption because you make money when you fix a road. So if you fix it next year again, you make money off of it. And then kickbacks happen. You know, poor planning happen. And this is not just talking about the current situation. Things happen from a long time, right? And people know it. People say a road fix and it have like scrapings of barber green on it. It's just basically like you paint it black. You know the first rain that will mash up. You know that if you don't have proper drains and so on. But sometimes man have to get kickback off the thing. And that is why the taxpayers don't get value for money. And then if you're not maintaining the road, just you're cracking it, you fix that same time rather than wait until it become a pothole, become a crater and so on. So a proper road maintenance fund, which we are going to have in place, and a proper road maintenance program, we should be able to finally solve the road problem if we cut out corruption and if we have a proper road maintenance thing. Water, honestly, I've asked the question why Southeast has a water problem. The MP went on TV and said that there isn't really a water problem. I don't know where him get that from. But Southeast has a water problem and we can't get a satisfactory answer from NWC. One, you hear them saying that it's JPS affecting some pump, or something like that. And it's never a straight answer. So something is happening with the water supply at Portmore. And it's like you have to be in government to really ask the question to know and get the answer. But that's something that we intend to find out so people can stop bathe out a bath pan and use them shower, where you have water in the pipes rather than hope that it come by and you set up all night waiting and water.
You're not sure if water come to the
Yeah, it's
All right, so question, doctor, as well. I'll wrap up. And this is I want you to give me a very conscious answer for this, right?
Yeah.
Talk a good talk, tell you that much. How many terms do you think the PNP need to fulfill the things that you want, especially in the healthcare sector? Because can all of this be done in one term?
No.
Okay.
2 terms. So the plan that we have what is going to be immediate. We're going to, within the first 100 days, we should be able to roll out a lot of the screening People can have the blood pressure monitors and so on, and people will be going in the communities. Then the longer, what's going to take more than a term are the reforms. Like the regional health authorities, we don't need 4 regional health authorities at this point in time. We can merge them, and that will cut down on the administrative costs significantly. If we, and some laws need to be passed, we have to fix procurement so that people who get involved in procurement is some serious jail time. Procurement fraud is serious jail time to face. We have to fix a lot of loopholes. That's going to take some time. We have to bring in equipment to standardize the whole thing. We can't rush everything in one budget because everybody else need other things to sort out. But there are a lot of low-hanging fruit in health. But in terms of the long-term stuff, with healthcare financing, where we want to have a national insurance scheme, that's not going to be something that's going to come in immediately. It's going to take at least 7 years before we finally get to healthcare being adequately financed, because they're not going to bring in any new taxes or anything like that. The fear mongering, let's just kill it right there. Because the first thing I'm going to do is try to twist it and say, oh yeah, they're planning to bring in tax. No, what we want is a proper national health insurance scheme, the way the NHF, the National Health Fund, was envisioned to be the precursor for. The National Health Fund was supposed to cover some drugs and all that, and it expanded later on. What we want to do is immediately expand the coverage, so it covers surgical implants for the elderly over age 60. So your grandmother will break the hip by the end of September. We're supposed to have something in place within the first 100 days. That grandma don't have to sit down and wait on a bed for 3 months before we can cough up the money to buy the pins, to have the surgery. Grandpa or whoever waiting on an implant or a mesh to the hernia, they don't have to go buy and sell a goat or whatever it is so that they can come up with the money. These things can be fixed immediately. Taking a little bit longer, dialysis we're going to fix, putting in the screening like the colonoscopies and so on, the CT scans at every parish hospital. We should be able to finish most of that by the majority of that by the first term. But that continuity, to get the
But by the first term done, it's supposed to show people and say, listen, we've done
yeah,
this.
man. Yeah, by the first year, and you can hold me to it. Where the camera there? You can hold me to it that by the first year, if we don't have significant improvement in healthcare, then I'm going to just come back right here, if you will allow me, and resign. But you must see some improvement, because we know what needs to be done. We know what needs to be done. Simple thing like the babies are dying at a higher rate now than ever before, than years. And we know that a big part of it is overcrowding at Victoria Jubilee Hospital. Yet we have Bustamante Hospital. It's a children's hospital, and it does not have a neonatal intensive care unit. We can build a neonatal ICU, and we can staff it so that Jubilee doesn't have to be overcrowded. But it's not being done. Why? Bustamante need a CT scan, we can get that within 6 months. Bustamante can get an MRI, we can get that within a year. But it's not being done. So you have to, when a child or baby needs a scan, they have to go to KPH and an ambulance while they're unstable, losing valuable time. And then they come back, and that is when you have to wait on the results before they can make a decision as to what's happening. A simple thing at Jubilee, where they need a portable x-ray. When the baby is in the neonatal ICU and they need an x-ray, they have to hope the baby is stable enough, put them in an incubator and push them on the corridor, go over to KPH to get the x-ray. I can buy a portable x-ray for less than $20 million now and solve that problem. And you get earlier diagnosis of any problems. If the baby is too unstable to move, you move the x-ray and you shoot the x-ray there, you get a diagnosis. Oh, this is why the baby is unstable, let us fix it. Rather than, boy, we can wait and see where the baby is stable enough to move to KPH. These are low-hanging fruit that can be fixed immediately. That's why I can make a statement like that. If I can't fix a lot of things, I'll come back in a year and resign.
Well, you have it here, Dr. Dawes, Alfred Dawes. You know what I'm saying? Wish you the best. I think personally, you did a great campaign. You know,
Thanks.
great campaign.
Keeping it clean, you know, in spite of what people say.
Yeah, keeping it clean. But I mean, I feel there's not more we can talk about there for like a good 2-3 hours. Because we don't talk about violence and about things. But your sector, for sure, the health sector, you give a great example of where you want to do, how easy it is to
What
do
we
certain
should
things
expect.
and what we should expect. You know, so the people want them can't find it.
Yeah, man. Well, my constituency office is at Independent City Plaza. I don't even know if in a couple of weeks I'll have a medical practice, but I'll be online and the Dr. Aldaz on TikTok, Dr. Dawes on, Aldaz on Instagram. So that's where you can probably reach out to me.
And this is, let's be honest, I know God.